Hi, welcome to the Financial Fox. I'm here with the market guru Zach Mia, and joining us today is Colin Hutchinson, CEO of Ascent Resources, an oil and gas independent company producing in Slovenia. How are you, Colin?
I'm very good, Stefania. It's nice to be here.
Great. So, Colin, I want basically to go straight to the point. You have been described these last 12 months as the most transformative time for the company. So you have started production at PG10, and now you are going to start production soon at PG11, as we saw from the announcement yesterday. You have also raised some money as well as convertible loan notes to fund and progress operations. So really, everything looks really good. However, the share price is stuck. So the share price can't maintain a level above 2p, because then you have an RNS saying that a loan note holder is converting and trading out. So the problem is that what investors, they basically are concerned is about, this conversion and Henderson. So what we would like to know is how many convertible loan notes are outstanding, who owns them, and why you are not buy the loans and cancel them, so we can actually see a share price that is reflecting, the progress that are done in the company.
Sure. The convertible loan notes, to sort of give you a bit of history as to how they've come around, they were invested in the company by largely Henderson. Started off in 2013, and they put some more money in 2014, and at one point did about £10 million, or about this time last year, they did about £10 million in loan notes in the company. So they were put in as loan notes at a time when the company was pre-revenue and couldn't raise any equity. So that's why we ended up with these loan notes. The loan notes weren't issued at a big discount. They're currently they converted a penny, and the share price is at 1.8. But if you went back 12 months, the loan notes were converting at a penny, and the share price was 0.6 of a penny. So at that time, there was maybe 12 million of or 11 million of loan notes outstanding at that point, and they were significantly underwater. What's happened over the last 12 months is the share price has increased by a factor of 3, because we acquired Tremeta, which gave us access to the pipeline. We signed a gas sales agreement with ENA, which gave us a route to market. We raised some money, which enabled us to recomplete PG10, PG11, and to do the work that we're doing at the moment. And we're in production. We're producing gas as of the middle of April. So the progress that the company's made over the last 12 months has meant that the convertible loan notes are now significantly in the money. They converted a penny, and the price is 1.82p. We have seen over the last 12 months about 75% of those loan notes being converted and being sold through the market. So we had 12 million at peak in the convertible loan notes. That's down to about 3 million as of today. As to who owns them, if you read through the financial statements and the history of the company, you can see that Henderson were the overwhelming investor in those loan notes. Henderson are now Lombard ODA after the change there, and it's safe to assume that they are the majority holder of those notes. I do get a lot of feedback from shareholders. Whenever there's some positive news, you see a loan note conversion and you see these shares being sold through. But if you look back at whenever we announced the first gas sale from PG10, for example, we saw a spike in the share price. We saw a huge increase in the volume of shares being traded, and then we saw a loan note conversion shortly thereafter. But if you did some analysis and looked at the volume of shares being traded around that period and the amount of loan notes being converted, the shares coming out from the loan note conversion are maybe 10 or 15% of the total volume of shares being traded over that period. So it's not, the loan notes aren't the big bad factor that's dragging things down. Ascent is very popular now amongst retail investors, and there's a lot of trading going on. So people are buying when there's speculation and then selling when there's a news event, which I think is something that you see quite frequently. And if you went back to actually the last significant announcement we made, which was the first gas announcement, which again you saw incredibly high volume of shares being traded, and then a few days later you saw a loan note conversion coming through for about 160 million shares. Interestingly, at that point, a few days later, once those shares vested, you saw a TR1 coming out from Lombard ODA to say they were still holding something like 130 million of those shares. So the huge liquidity during that period wasn't really being driven by the loan note conversion, because the loan note converter is still holding the majority.
Well, let's just say, I mean, because Steffi's come up with the case, I mean, like a more bearish perspective. Let's say I'm an optimist and I like Ascent Resources. For me, you've done all the dirty work already. You're now producing 90% of the battle with minnows in resources is getting to the production stage. Once you're there, you're basically home and dry, unless you're producing, 5 teaspoons of oil or a balloon's worth of gas. So you've done the dirty work there. We know that, say, the convertible loan notes is like a distressed seller. Once they're out, the shares are going to go through the roof, because you'll have that logjam effect gone away. I mean, say go through the roof, but you know what I mean. There'll be a logjam effect. So basically, this is just, we're just 3 million shares or however loan notes away from the share price really taking off. Is that a good way of looking at it? Fair way of looking at it?
I'm not sure about that analysis, whether the loan notes are holding the share price.
No, but it's just that's the thing. Once that's out,
I think once that's out, there will be a positive.
You are not going to get more loan notes.
No, I think the reason the loan notes were brought in was because we were pre-revenue. We're now generating revenue, and we've seen over the last 12 months we've consistently raised equity instead of loan notes. So yeah, there's 3 million left, and I'm hoping that those 3 million aren't going to be washed through anytime soon. And I think once we have news that we're recompleted PG11, we're selling gas through to ENA, then we should see a nice rise in the share price.
Yeah, so maybe let's talk a little bit about your production and actually how much gas are you producing, and how that is converting in monthly revenues back to Ascent.
So at the moment, we started producing in the middle of April, and we're selling that production through to some local industrial customers through our joint venture partner. Once we start selling gas through to ENA, which will be in a few weeks' time, we'll release a full forecast of the monthly gas volumes and how much revenue that's going to net us. There are some good analyst reports out there at the moment which have made some assumptions about what that looks like, and Stockdale and Northland have both produced good numbers in that respect in the recent past. The important thing for Ascent is we get significantly increased revenue once we start selling through to ENA. We get 90% of those revenues because of the historic costs we've incurred in the project. So once we start selling gas through to ENA, we'll be profitable on an EBITDA level, and we'll be generating cash flow apart from whatever capex we have to invest.
So really, we are just again on the it's a tipping point, it's an inflection point in the fundamentals here.
Yes, I think so. I think the company's been through an awful lot in the past, and over the last 12 months, really since last July, has transformed itself once we signed that deal with ENA and acquired Tremeta. And we've done a lot of work, sort of the operational stuff on the ground with the wells and the pipelines and the separation stations, and we're now at a point where we can start selling gas through to ENA, and that makes the company profitable, generating cash, and then we can look forward to the future.
How is the gas market in Slovenia? So just investors, they can contextualize that a little bit better.
The gas market is very healthy. Our partner, one of our main partners in the project, Petrol, has a significant sort of gas supply trading operation in the country. Our initial plan is obviously to sell the gas through to Croatia because of the issues with the IPPC permit. Once that's resolved and we build our own treatment plant, we'll put the gas into the Slovenian grid. At that point, we'll see a significant increase in the margin that we're going to get, because we're selling clean gas to wholesale customers instead of the untreated gas. So the market's fairly healthy. I think the price is slightly lower in Slovenia compared to Croatia, but it's very healthy. We'll sell at a price indexed to Central European gas.
So you will see a good margin basically on your sales agreement?
We will see a good margin, yeah.
Would you like just to explain a little bit more about the sales agreements you have in place?
The sales agreement, the main one that we're working towards is the ENA sales agreement, which we signed last July, and that allows us to sell the gas essentially untreated. We have to reduce the water content so it can be transported through the pipeline to ENA's facility, but it's essentially selling untreated gas. We sell it at a slight discount to Central European gas hub pricing, and because of the fact it's untreated, it needs some work done before they can sell it on. But it's a good price as far as the company and the partners are concerned, because it makes us profitable on day one and allows us to build cash flow before we have to do any more work on the plant or further wells.
Okay, and regarding the environmental permitting, you know, I think investors, they saw a little bit of, not problem, but a little bit of confusion, you know, they didn't understand very well, particularly, you know, Slovenia is not like UK, it's more like Italy, so I know, you know, there are kind of those misunderstandings. Would be nice just to see, you know, what, from you, what's the situation there?
Sure. The environmental permit, the last announcement we made was that the Environment Minister had once again ruled in our favour and said that there was nothing wrong with our proposed treatment facility. We need the permit to build a treatment plant to put the gas into the grid. So the Environment Minister ruled again, they've ruled for us. This is the second time they've ruled in our favour. We've had the Environment Agency rule for us twice. So again, they ruled in our favour. The government supported the project all along. But there's one group in Slovenia, an environmental campaigner, who has consistently tried to block the project. He will take us to court, or he's appealed, and his appeal will go to court. I would imagine that'll be in the Q3, Q4 this year. I would hope that the last time we went to court, the judge ruled that there'd been a few defects in the procedures that the Environment Agency had followed. We've rectified those procedures, so I'm hopeful once we go back to court, the judge will be consistent with his previous judgment and say the permit is okay. Once we get the permit, then that allows us to build our processing plant and to start adding more wells and building production.
Okay, but have you identified any other wells? So after PG11, what is going to happen? We have.
I mean, the area of the field, there's been production in the field since the 1940s and 50s, mainly shallow oil reservoirs. There are a number of wells in good locations which we'll re-enter, deepen and use to produce gas from the deep gas reservoirs. There's about 6 or 7 of those which are good candidates, and we're working on the workover plans for those at the moment. Then once those are done, we'll start to drill new wells, and there's maybe another 6 new wells that you drill to fully exploit the field, because there's an awful lot of gas in the ground, and this project, I mean, it could supply a significant percentage of Slovenia's gas requirement for the next 20 years.
And you're going to stay in Slovenia? You're not looking somewhere else to expand, somewhere else outside?
We've certainly no interest in leaving Slovenia. It's such an exciting time, and we can see Slovenia being a real cash cow for the company and generating profits for us. Once Slovenia is making money, then I think it does become interesting to look elsewhere, to look at other opportunities. I think there are a lot of opportunities in the region. If you look to the neighbouring countries, in Croatia, in Hungary, in Romania, all around that part of the world, there are nice opportunities at the minute. So the company is, once we're generating significant cash flow from Slovenia, then we'll be looking forward and seeing where we take the company.
Okay. Zach, do you have any other question?
No, so you're basically saying by the end of the year you'll have any legal or any other, let's say, glitches out of the way, and Slovenia will be fully, let's say, on course to do what you want it to do.
Yes, I think we'd be hopeful, based on the timings we've seen previously, from how long it takes the court to make their decisions on these things, that sort of October, from that time onwards, we'd expect to have a decision there. We'd certainly expect it to be on our favour, given the history. That allows us then to move forward with the full-scale development into the grid. If for some reason that didn't happen, we'd continue to sell gas to INA, or we could sell more gas than we're selling at the minute. We could recomplete some of the old wells and increase production to INA that way. So it's by no means all our eggs aren't in one basket anymore, which is where the company had been until July last year. We can sell gas through to INA, we can sell some gas through to local industrial customers, and we can also then sell gas into the grid. So we've got a lot of options now. It would be nice to get that permit, because I think then it puts the company in a much better footing, but it's by no means a binary success or fail option.
Okay, so exciting times ahead of Ascent Resources.
I think so.
Thank you very much, Colin. This is everything from the FinancialFox. Have a good day.